of areas. We have 5 individuals going to the national games next June 2014 in New Jersey. They're at Princeton.
That's wonderful.
And weightlifting is one guy's going for weightlifting, a couple of bocce players, and it's just they're really neat athletes, and they really take it seriously. They training is seasonal for some, obviously the cross country skiing and that.
Sure.
But the other training's year round, as well as some of those individuals participate at health clubs and different areas to keep
I know the swim
training.
team comes to the Y every spring. And
Yes,
get
the
ready for
Y
the
is
season.
an integral partner with the YMCA, with the swim team, with Special Olympics. The Y's been an integral partner with LARC on a couple of different areas over the years. We've talked about employment, and the Y has been one of the employers that has worked closely with LARC, and we're indebted
Sure.
to the Y in that regard, where they've had some of our LARC individuals working at the Y.
Fits so well with our mission overall.
So
And,
yes. Yes.
It's nice when a lot of organizations can work together and align goals and.
Yes.
And,
Yes, and in recreation we have a social enrichment program, and the social enrichment program is a program for probably most of them are not Special Olympic athletes, and the individuals in the social enrichment program, it's a recreation program that reaches out to people for their interest. Otherwise, they're sitting around doing nothing, be it at home or being if they live in the community home, wherever. So we afford them the opportunity to take day trips. We just had a group come back from Florida. They were down in Orlando, and who wouldn't love to go to Orlando
Sure.
in the middle of December? Although sort of feels like Orlando out there again today.
right.
But they take trips like that as well as the individuals are. We have a knitting group that meets once a week, and it's really a cool group because it started where we were working with some LARC individuals, and then some LARC employees got involved, and now some friends of LARC employees are involved. So it's this eclectic mix of people, which again, coming back to our vision of community for all, it's the type of group that we would be involved in, where you
Right.
go and you join a club or you join something, you expect to meet all different people.
Absolutely.
So in recreation, and we run camp. And Camp Mo has been a project of ours that we've been involved with over the past couple of years. We've been working with that, and that's in its infancy, but doing well. We again look for community support with that. The community for all piece is the big part of the organization. It's really what our mantra
So
is.
the integration.
Yes.
And,
Yes, with that.
Excellent. So, with all these wonderful services and programs, how do you fund it? Where does most of the resources come from?
From wherever.
Yeah.
Again, a typical nonprofit.
Right.
You're actually hustling constantly. Our organization is not quite a $7 million organization, but it's close to it, and a big part of our funding comes from the state. It comes from the Department of Developmental Services. We again, as I mentioned earlier, we're with money coming through the legislative branch of the state. What winds up happening is sometimes they put money in for an organizations like ours, and sometimes they don't. And of recent, it's been more of they haven't than they have. So we're talking to legislators ourselves, saying, you have this vulnerable population, and how are you going to keep supporting it? So that's a big part of it. That as far as the funding from it, we get Medicaid money. It's driven. A lot of our funding is driven by Medicaid, whether it's coming through the Department of Social Services or the Department of Developmental Services that I mentioned. And if you put those two state agencies together, we're talking about between 60 and 70% of our funding to round it out like that. And it's a per diem reimbursement. We're similar to nursing homes. If somebody's
Okay.
in the bed
Yep.
residentially, we get reimbursed. If somebody's in the seat and coming to a work program, and we get reimbursed. And then, of course, there's all the tracking of the time that we spend with individuals.
Sure.
But when you get transportation problems, you get snow out here in the Northwest, which is different than down in the New London, New Haven area. we lose revenue during those days if people do not come into a day program. So, but the state is the larger reimbursement vehicle for the organization, and then we work with schools. We get money from the schools. I did not mention that we have an 18-year to 21-year-old school transition program, and again, the right to education. Everybody goes through the schools, but at the age of 21 or at the age of 18, the students, their peers and non-disabled peers move on. But by law, they're responsible the schools are for keeping students till the age of 21. So we've gone to the schools in the area and we've said, look, we can be a little more flexible and we can work with the population with disabilities in our school to community transition program and provide them the daily living skills and the functional living skills that they need to be in the community upon age 21 when the schools no longer work with them. So that program hence
It's kind
gets
of like an
funded through
alternative
schools.
education
Yes,
program.
very
right.
much so. So that's another funding source. And then, as nonprofits do, you have your development programs, your fundraisers.
Absolutely.
We do fundraising. We just completed our Festival of Trees.
How'd that go?
Oh, that was terrific. We just had our 12th year. The Festival of Trees was at Valerie Manor. And it's a great holiday event, and we have wreaths and trees and baskets. And this year we had our best year yet. We raised we raised over $29,000
Wow, that's
for
wonderful.
that run. And the community supports it in a very, very positive way. We have a wine tasting in the spring. That'll be March this year. So those are some of our main fundraisers. We fundraise for Special Olympics. We have people, and maybe you'd be interested in this because I know you just completed a terrific I thought, and you and I spoke about this, and I think a great way to call attention to homelessness
Sure.
with the Freezing for a Reason a
Yeah,
couple of
yeah.
Friday nights ago, and of course it wasn't like this past Friday where it was mild. It was
chilly.
a tough one.
Yeah.
It was a tough one, but we have people sign up for the Penguin Plunge
Yes.
in Highland Lake on February 8th this year, and Attorney Jim Steck, who's the board president of LARC, is leading the team
Excellent.
and looking for recruiting people. So
Well,
if you
I've
have
got-
an interest,
I've got it on the calendar.
you
I've got it
do.
on the
All right.
calendar. I
Oh, we
do.
spoke to you already.
Yeah.
Great, great. But that the proceeds from that, not all the proceeds. There's a formula that Special Olympics use, but it goes to our Special Olympic local team,
Excellent.
which is a great thing. So fundraisers are important to the community, and
Sure.
and
And
you
like
know,
you said, beyond the funds, it also builds the visibility and awareness
Yes.
of the programs and
yes,
services.
yes, it does. And I know the theme of your show here is on health and LARC, like many nonprofits, you look at their mission, you look at their vision, and yet in there is the issue of health. And as we're working with people with disabilities, health is one of the foremost things that we do look at. If you look at employment, health fits in because when people work and they're making some money, they're paying taxes, they have money to spend. It creates a healthier mindset for
Sure.
individuals. They're feeling good about themselves. They're feeling empowered that they can work, that they can buy things. If you look at our residential programs, and we have nutritionists in each of the homes, and we look at the health of the individuals who are living with us 24/7, and whether it's a garden where we're growing some produce and then using it, preparing menus and having individuals eat what they grow. Again, it's a health part of it.
Now, where do they have those gardens?
Well, they would be just within the homes. If we have
Okay.
a garden, it would be the couple of homes that can
Okay.
have the property to do that. So it's again, from a perspective of health, it's one of the things we look at. We look at wellness of the individuals.
Sure.
We support the recreation programs, help us meet the wellness goals for people because we're, as I alluded to earlier, individuals with disabilities, which, again, societal
Sure.
problems are people just sit around and they don't exercise much any longer, and we're seeing the obesity that I know that you all have taken a good look at as to how do you combat that. So the health is there, and again the mindset, the mental health of the people we support is an important piece.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so has the population you serve, have you seen it growing, shifting, pretty much staying consistent?
It's hard to get. For me, it's been hard to get numbers on the population is aging. People are living longer, so their needs are more complex. Our population is just a microcosm of society. So people are living longer due to medicine, due to technology. We're supporting them longer. We now have people that we're working with who have onset dementia. So it is changing
Added
in
challenges,
that
yeah.
it's adding definite challenges. The piece that we all scratch our head with is where did this autism come from? I mean,
Sure.
we know what it is and we have an idea, but the numbers are just off the charts.
And I know some of the discussion is it just being diagnosed better than it used to be?
Exactly.
Or,
Yes.
it's definitely a piece of it.
No, exactly, and it probably is
Yeah.
with technology, and we know more, and as years go on, we learn more, we study it, we research. So but people with disabilities, the population is still there. There's a number of people I alluded to earlier who are at home with no programs. Whether your population is waning or growing, if you have people who are sitting at home and aren't receiving supports, you have a problem.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the resources don't necessarily grow
Correct.
at the same rate as the population.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I understand you've been at this quite a while now, personally.
A few years. It's I've been on a great ride. I've been, as I mentioned earlier, 31 years. 32 years actually now, and it's one of those stops along your career path, and it's been a place. LARC is a wonderful organization. I've had great opportunity to work with some really good people, so the employees. And the people we support are just amazing, and their families are amazing. And, it's unlocking the gifts in the people that we work with and finding, looking for gifts. Everybody has a gift in some capacity,
Sure.
so that's a big part of it. The volunteers have been great to work with, very supportive. And we've been able over time to do some creative things with our programming. So it's been a nice place to be.
That's
Any
wonderful.
area, Torrington is, Torrington, Winstead, northwest corner is a great place to raise a family,
It is.
live, and work.
Yeah, it's a wonderful community.
It is.
It's really supportive of
Yes.
whatever the issues might be and
Yes.
involved. And because it's no organization like yours or ours can work without the volunteers.
Exactly.
They're a critical piece.
Exactly. And you look at the history and the longevity of the Y, which goes even back beyond, way beyond
Yeah.
LARC's longevity. If you think LARC's been around a long time, 50 years, in 2014, the Y has to be
We're